I'm going to assume that at this point in your life, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is a piece of media that you have had some form of contact with in one way or another. It's so ingrained in Western culture that I think it has lost its original meaning and its original sense of disturbing atmosphere. It was a while back, but one of my favorite YouTubers, Wendigoon, dropped a video all about Mary Shelley's original story from 1818 called Frankenstein. Now, he released this as a premiere, and so I knew within 24 hours what the video was going to be about. Being an avid Wendigoon fan, I started reading the book, which was something I had already started months prior, but I decided to pick it up again and try to finish the book by the time the video came out, and this was obviously not something that could happen. I watched the video anyway, and I went ahead and read the book. But that night before his video started, I listened to the book on tape and had some rather interesting dreams, I will say. During this time when I was sitting with the story of Frankenstein for many, many weeks as I became obsessed over it, the true horrors of the story really began to sit with me. And metaphorically speaking, Frankenstein's monster followed me like a foreboding and ominous shadow, luring over my entire day and blotting out any kind of sunlight. Now that all sounds pretty dramatic, but what I mean by that is that the idea of stitching together body parts into a new form, into a new human being, and giving it life that it was never meant to have, the entire concept of it, the grotesqueness of the act itself, and its theological, spiritual, and philosophical implications were weighing on me, and the true horrors of Frankenstein, for the first time, were fully realized. There was one specific day when that all came to a head, and that's when I came up with that whole monster metaphor. It was like the monster was following me throughout my day. It was as if the entire story and concept of Frankenstein itself had become a monster or an entity haunting my life. So why do you care? Well, fun fact, I tend to plan my videos ahead. And that means that I am working on the Urban Spook follow-up video. Urban Spook is my biggest video on the channel, at least my analysis of Urban Spook is my biggest video on the channel, and so I've decided to tackle the subject again. For those of you that know, Urban Spook is rather disturbing, and tends to be extremely disturbing just for the sake of being disturbing. That's kind of the whole point of the channel. So what does that have to do with Frankenstein? Well, you're full of questions, but thankfully I have the answers. You see, that sort of dark, looming presence that came to me when I was obsessed with Frankenstein comes to me a lot quicker when I look at things like analog horror and urban spook, especially. I love horror content, and that's why I decided to make my entire YouTube channel about it. However, it starts to weigh on you after a while. Constantly consuming dark media with heavy, dark, and disturbing themes is bound to have some sort of effect on your psychological and mental state. Those are the same thing. Anyway, so you've got to have some way to cope with that, or get around that. So what do I do to combat this darkness? More questions. More good answers coming from me. So, I didn't like standing there. To combat this darkness, I bring myself into the light, metaphorically and physically. It's brighter here. I turned the brightness up on the camera. But I bring myself into the light. What does that mean? Well, I consume lighter media. Media with less heavy themes, media with less disturbing themes, and media that overall promotes a sense of positivity rather than a sense of negativity. And I mean all forms of media. I don't listen to heavy music, I don't watch heavy shows, I don't watch heavy movies, I don't read heavy books. Like I've said before, humans are scared of the dark, or not really adapted for it, metaphorically or physically. I like the metaphor of darkness for a few reasons, and it's because when something is dark, you can't see anything. So when you first are in a dark area, your eyes don't adjust, and you can't see anything around you, and it's scary. But after being in the dark for a prolonged period of time, your eyes begin to adjust, and you don't miss the light that much. because you can see your way around in the dark, and it's kind of cool. But we're not designed for the dark, are we? Our eyes aren't supposed to work in the dark. They can only adapt slightly. So bring yourself into the light every now and then, so you remember what it's like to see clearly. I'm going to talk a lot more about this exact concept when I do the Urban Spook video, but because the last video I tried to post flopped, not once, but twice, I just thought I'd put this out this week. Something quick, something fun. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.